Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Creating Wealth. And we have our amazing mentor in real estate, creative real estate, Robert Allen. Thank you for coming today.
Hello, everybody. You want to make some money?
Yes,
Well,
we do.
you don't have any money? Well, we're talking about nothing down techniques here. So this is exactly what you want to listen to.
That's right.
We just finished another one, which was technique number 1. We called the ultimate paper out. This is going to be technique number 2. So would you like to learn it?
That's right. Yeah, we definitely want to learn it. And I noticed that this technique is called the blanket mortgage. Why is that and how does this work?
Yeah, blanket. What does that have to do with real estate? Remember, when you say to somebody, I'd like to buy your property with nothing down, what's their first reaction?
You're crazy.
Yeah, who the heck are you?
Yeah.
How can I trust you? I don't know you. I let you have and live in my home and my property when I don't know who you are, when you might rip it up, you might tear the copper out of the wires, you might, destroy it. I don't know you. I need some security. I need to know that you're legitimate. And just offering them before they ask, just offering them some more security sometimes solves that problem. So maybe they wouldn't accept your paper out where you walk away with no cash on your part. They take a note from you with monthly payments attached. Maybe they'd be willing to accept that, but they don't know who you are. So you say to them, now I do have another property that I own. And maybe it's a building lot that you bought, a long time ago, and you eventually want to build on it, but it's just sitting there, growing weeds, and it has value. Or any other asset you might own. You might own a motor home or a boat that's paid for, or maybe even your own home, which has some equity in it.
Right.
You can offer as collateral another asset to blanket over the whole transaction, such as, suppose the house was a $400,000 property and you're going to buy it for nothing down, okay? Which means that the seller is going to have $400,000 worth of mortgages attached to it. What if you say, now this lot I have here, it's $50,000. It's free and clear. I'll tell you what I'll give you. I owe you the amount I said I would owe you on the note, at what interest rate and what time frame, but the collateral, I'll give you more collateral. Rather than just the home or the property that you're selling to me now, I'll blanket another piece of equity, another asset underneath the collateral agreement. Can you do that? Of course you can do that. But most realtors don't even understand this. They've never done anything like this before. That's what creative real estate is all about, is solving the seller's fears in ways that make them comfortable with you. And therefore you can say to that seller, tell you what, all you're really worried about is if I'm going to make my monthly payments on time, aren't you? If I'm legit, I'm a real person, I'm an honorable person, I'm going to pay on time. Is that what you really want to know? Well, good. Let's put this into escrow, a contract signed between me and you, that if I make my monthly payments on time every month for the next 12 months, you can have this extra collateral to make sure that if I don't pay, you can take my lot. You can take my asset.
My property, yeah.
You can take it. And you can take your property back too, plus my property that I'm going to put up. And they go, wow.
He's really crazy.
Now, how much did it cost you to do that? Well, it cost you the access to that equity, but a lot of times the equity you're not using anyway. So you blanket it for a year. If after a year I've been honorable, I've been timely, I've done what I said I would do, my word, you can see my word counts, then the escrow company is automatically, since they're the ones that are watching the collection of the payments, they can see there were 12 monthly payments made. They automatically, without any other signatures, without any other approval, they automatically release your piece of equity under the blanket, and it now blankets only the property that you're buying from that one seller, because probably within a year, the property has gone up in value. The mortgages have been paid down. So there's more collateral.
Right.
See? There's more collateral. So the collateral you had given them for the lot you put up, your vacant, whatever the ground was, now, since the property you've bought has now gone up in value, it will replace the extra collateral you gave to the seller for security and for safety. So you're basically really saying, I want you to be safe. I get it. I totally get you don't know me from Adam. But guess what? I want you to be safe. And just sometimes making that offer, just you can just see, they go, okay, I
That
solved that fear.
relief. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's technique number 2. It's called the blanket mortgage. And it's something you don't want to do. You don't want to tie up your loose equity if you don't have to. But if it tips the scale, suppose the property you're buying from the seller, you know it's undervalued. You know there's a way to increase its value, fixing it up, improving it in some way. So you know that adding your extra collateral and blanketing more security is ultimately going to be the smart investment. It's on your part. It's worth it for you to give up your assets in order to make the seller feel secure. And remember, all of these techniques are all based upon finding the right kind of seller. So if this seller is an investor and they're just trying to make the most amount of money in the shortest period of time, they're not going to accept your deal. They're a wanter. They want their real estate. They want the 100% of their profit. But a don't wanter is a very special animal, if you will. They think differently. They don't want this property for whatever reason. And it might be good reasons. It might be honorable reasons, like they found another investment with their brother-in-law who's making a fortune on the internet, and they're willing to sell their property in order to get out from underneath this problem that they're facing, in order to move on to something else. Maybe they're going through a divorce. They don't want the property. They don't want all the bad memories. Get rid of it. Just end up with a cash flow. Maybe you split the cash flow. You make the deal so that half goes to one partner, half goes to the other. That you're out of it. You don't need the cash. You move on. So this is called creative real estate. This is technique number 2.
And if anything, this blanket mortgage allows you to build that trust with the seller. Because who knows, maybe that seller has another property that you could later on invest in. But if you don't have that track record, this is a great way for you to create your track record by offering a piece of asset that you already have.
That's right. That's right.
So from what I'm hearing, the main requirement would be that you own some sort of asset that you can tie into your mortgage. What other requirements do you need for doing this technique?
Those are 2 things you need. You need a highly motivated seller and another asset that you can blanket the mortgage over. And that's a very narrow technique. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it's just one of the notes on the 50-note piano. And real estate agents, they only want to play one note: cash, 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 full price, retail, retail, retail. That's the only note they know. Well, generally speaking, I know 50 techniques. I know cash is one. If I get the right price, I'll come up with cash. But generally speaking, I'm not going to pay a lot of cash if the price is retail. No, never going to do that. It's got to be wholesale. So that's one note I can play, but I got 49 other techniques that I can play on that piano. And sometimes it's just that one thing, that one little idea that just tips the scale. Where they go, okay, all right, I'll do that with you. You showed me that I can save taxes, I can get cash flow, I can have the property out from underneath me, I can move on to something else in my life, and you give me more collateral too?
That's right.
So I got a ultimate paper out with a blanket mortgage. Sometimes that works, not all the time.
Ooh, so what are some times when this technique wouldn't be applicable then?
When the seller's not a highly motivated seller. So that's 5% of the time, 1% of the time. 95% of the time, the realtor has already ruined the deal.
Oh no.
The realtor thinks retail. The realtor wants to play the retail game. They're actually going to the seller to get a listing. They're saying, what do you think they're saying to that seller? You want to sell? We'll get you top dollar. They plant the wrong thoughts in the seller's head. And therefore the seller comes up with the expectations of what they could really get. And I'm not saying this happens with every realtor. Forgive me, I'm slapping the hands of the dumb one. I was a realtor myself. I know exactly what it was like. I spent 3 years doing that, so I'm experienced at this. So the realtor ruins it when they list it. Almost every time, because they're talking that seller. Because if the market's hot, that's what they have to do to get a listing.
Yeah.
When 60% of the properties are listed. 40% of the properties on the market are not listed. They're called for sale by owner. That's good. But we can use realtors. But usually by the time the realtor gets through the seller, they've poisoned the seller's mind, if I can be blunt.
And I gotta say that, like, even for my property that I don't want to sell, because, like, to be honest, like, I'm making quite a bit of profit on that property myself. I've been getting quite a bit of realtors reaching out to me, and they can be a little pushy, but it's interesting how they sometimes use certain techniques to make you think, oh yes, you can get the most money out of your house.
In the fastest amount of time.
In the fastest, which definitely influences the seller into being more uptight and not open to all of these creative ideas.
So most of their listings in the multiple listing service, 95% of them have been trained that way and ruined that way. And if you're buying a home and you're really not trying to invest, you're just trying to buy it on the market, okay, fine. Realtors do great at that. We're talking about investor mindset. We're not talking about a retail realtor that's helping a person get into a home. I think that person who wants to get in a home should be buying wholesale anyway, but they don't. They just pay whatever they want for whatever property they want. That's not the investor mindset. Our mindset is wholesale, and therefore we don't like the realtor pumping up the values and putting the false expectations in the people's minds. We don't like that. However, 5% of the listings, wherever they're listed, you look through the listing service, you can see that some of them have remarks in the remarks section that say seller must sell, needs to transfer to another city, just went through a divorce, mother just died, sickness, willing to trade, clues in the listings of the multiple listing service. I'm looking for clues like that because that lets you know that the realtor is not thinking in a retail way. They're thinking this seller needs to sell. And they're putting clues, they're planting thoughts. And they're hearing this from the seller say that I need to get rid of it. It's kind of like a precursor to finding a highly motivated seller.
That's right.
And so when I went to San Francisco and took away my wallet and I bought 7 properties in 57 hours with a $100 bill, I first went to real estate companies. I first looked for those clues in the listings. I found some, I did. But I just realized after 2 or 3 hours sitting in the office, looking through all their listings, I couldn't do it in 72 hours. I couldn't. Getting involved with the realtor, it was going to slow things. It was going to muddy things up. So we left the real estate office, and then I started trying to find highly motivated for sale by owners. And I dealt with some realtors after that. The 7 properties I bought, some were through realtors, some not. But the point I'm trying to say is the listings are going to show clues in there. Follow the clues to the highly motivated seller, even if it's listed as a multiple listing property. I'm looking for a special kind of seller, and they're rare, 1 in 20, sometimes 1 in 100. So that means 99 in 100 are not the person I'm looking for. And it's so hard to teach a beginner this. They just don't get it. They'll go out in the marketplace. When I went to St. Louis and they took away my wallet and gave me time to teach these people who are broke, out of work, discouraged, no job, no nothing, no money, no income, no assets, nothing. And I tried to teach them how to think. What I just described to you, I thought it was pretty clear, wasn't it? I'm looking for a highly motivated seller. Yeah. And they'd call me on the phone and they'd read me the ad. And they said, I found one.
Oh, wow.
and they read the ad to me. It was big, long, beautiful ad. There's no flexibility in there. Big, long ads. wherever they run, they cost more money, and therefore the seller is not flexible.
Yeah, that's more like a business kind of
Exactly.
ad, and you don't want that.
You don't want that. I want a little small, notice on Facebook or email, whatever. Just a little notification. They're embarrassed. They really don't want to tell the world, but
Right.
I need to sell this thing. This is crushing me. I saw an ad when I was on a radio show in Bountiful, I remember. I'll never forget this. And the ad said, "I'm down, kick me." And I thought, that's a highly motivated seller. That's what I'm looking for. But
right.
I don't want to kick them. It's got to be win-win.
That's the investor mindset right there.
Exactly.
You gotta make profits for you, but you also need to make sure that you fulfill on the needs of your seller. Thank you so much again, Bob. And thank you to our audience. There you have it. Go out there and try all of these creative real estate techniques. You never know which one is gonna be the one that is actually gonna make you successful in your investments. So go out there and start looking for non-wanters. You can definitely find them. We're gonna see you in the next episode.